and then you select gradebook. You'll notice anything with what looks like a monitor with a slash through it, that means students don't have that one. They can't see that. So you select gradebook, and let's say that Mackenzie Maddox here's the student. All right. You would come down and find the discussion board or whatever that you didn't get a grade for. Like in this case, she's got 3 of them, right? But if you didn't have a score, or for some reason they challenged your grading, you ended up agreeing with them, you wanted to change it, you could click Change Score and go. And whether it was 0 before, obviously this one's not 0, you can change it at that point. And then you change score. You make sure you click OK, so it'll save it, and that will change the score. All right, how to change a due date for a single student. Again, you come to Gradebook. You pick the student whose due date you're going to change, and the assignment and the due date name. So, like Taylor here has not taken her final yet. Let's say I was going to extend the due date on that for her. So I would come down here, Settings per Student, Go, select the Use Individual Settings, and then I can change any of the stuff that's on this screen. Her due date, her due time, give her a second attempt, for something. Change the time limit. Maybe you got a letter from the Disabilities Department. Every once in a while you get one that is so nervous they don't want to see the time remaining. Clicking down on the screen, so if you unclick this button here, then it still is time, but it doesn't show them the remaining time. Usually when I get one like that, it happens every once in a while, I suggest they put a post-it note over it so they can see it, so it's hidden from them, but they can still see it if they want to. But once in a while you'll get a student that makes them so nervous they just don't even want to see that. Alright, so there's how you change the due date. How to copy a course ID. Okay, so this is the screen you come to when you first log in. And so you've got the course ID has been sent out through the SME world. You come in here and click, let's say we're going to use this one here, Gibson in the 80586. Okay. Click Create, copy a course, copy another course, click in it, Gibson 50856, was that what it was? Apparently I remember that wrong. Alright, let's go back here. Gibson 80586. Alright. 80586. 80586. Alright. Gibson 80586. Go. Okay, right here is the name of the course I'm copying. Here you can put in the name you're going to give the new course. Put in description if you want to. I usually don't. For student enrollment start date, usually just go ahead and pick the day's date that you've got. End date, you want it to be at least a month past the start date of the current course. Courses are going to start on the 20th coming up here, so I would pick like the 24th probably. Okay. That is the reason you do that is students that take the grace period option, they won't officially log in as far as the software is concerned until after their grace period expires, and so the date you put in here needs to include their grace period. So sometimes, for example, they won't start their grace period until a few days into the course, and then they take their 21-day grace period, and then they won't get back in again for a few days after. It can easily lap over a month by a little bit. Course end date, for the sake of incompletes, I recommend that you always put it at least a month past. So I typically set it to the last day of the following month or the month after that. Usually copy doesn't matter, and then you can create your new course. Now, it will make a course ID. It would automatically put your name in there, and then 5 digits that I have no idea how it picks those digits, random, or maybe they mean something, I don't know. That's what you'll give to your students that they'll use to get into your course. They'll need that. Go back to your courses page. Now you see here it's got the little clock next to it. That says the course is still being created. Okay. When it's done, it'll turn to look like the others. Alright, if you ever want to delete a course, by the way, so I use this, made this AAA one for another video. I don't actually need it. You can click on details and just click delete, delete. That is how you do that. Alright, so there is using a course ID to create a course. How to download the gradebook at the end of the semester. I just wanted a reminder in here that that's something you're going to need to learn how to do. I'm not going to put that in this video. It's a little bit longer and more complicated than the other items. Alright, how to use the search email by criteria function to do follow-up emails, looking for students who have not submitted work, to do follow-up emails and to look for students who have not submitted work in 14 or 22 days. Alright, use the same function for both of these items. So, follow-up emails, we send them after an assignment is due, a quiz or a test typically, that had a due date. Those are due on Mondays, and so typically on Tuesday morning or maybe Wednesday morning if Tuesday's really busy, I will come in here and select Gradebook. From the drop down you pick Select Email by Criteria. Now for the follow-up emails, you pick the assignment performance. There's two kinds of follow-up emails. One is if the score is less than 70%, that's already set. The other one is no score. So we'll just do the first kind. Pick the assignment you want. Click on Choose there. Let's just see final exam on this one. Alright. So this is the beginning of finals weekend right now. The courses I'm in, there should be at least a couple students that got less than a 70. I have one so far. Okay. So the thing about this is it'll list all the students that meet the criteria. You click Next, and this is an email that will go to each of them, and they won't see each other's names on it. It's a blind carbon to each of them. You can put your IM on it right there if you want. All right. Type in whatever message you want to type in. Click Send, and that's all you need to do for the first follow-up email. I've actually got a template I use for mine. You could ask your IM for a template for each of the follow-up emails. If they don't have one, let me know. I'll get you one. Like I said, then the other one, you basically keep the same assignment clicked, click No Score, and in this case we've still got a day and a half of finals week yet. Yes, see, so I've got a bunch of those. All the ones with no score show. If I click through here and send an email, it'd go to everybody that hadn't taken their final yet. Well, it's not due till midnight tomorrow. It'd be no need to do that at this point, obviously. Okay, so that's how you do the emails. Now, for the FNs or the FN warnings, they have not submitted any work in 14 or 22 days. It's the same search email by criteria. Only what you do is you do work activity. In this first box, number of days since assigned work was last submitted. Like you pick 14, that's if you're looking to see if you need to send out any 14-day notices. This class doesn't have anybody. Okay. If you needed 22, you could just do 22, and then you get your list, you click Next. I do recommend when you're doing an FN, sometimes you'll get students who are ahead. Okay. And so you want to double check. You get some names there, you want to come in your gradebook and double check to make sure they're really behind. Sometimes they'll get ahead and then take a few days off, and you don't want to send somebody like that a warning notice or giving them FN or something. Alright. Now, so that's this one. Now, how to find a homework question that a student has asked about. Ideally, they'll use the Ask My Instructor button. Sometimes they don't, though. So you can come in, you pick the student who's asked you a question, and it could be a homework question or it could be a test question, either way. So let's say she asked me a question from this homework. You click the review, and that takes you into whatever assignment it matches up with. And let's say she had a question here about number 23. There's the question. Now, I will give you a warning. If this is the first attempt at their question, you'll see the same numbers they got. But if they have already used the they're working on their second attempt at the question, they've clicked the similar exercise button, you're still going to see what that question said the first time they did it. Okay? As a side note here, when they send me a question, typically that I then have to go and look up, I will, in my reply, suggest they use the Ask My Instructor. And you'll notice it says right here, a link to the question will be included with your message. So if students use the Ask My Instructor button, they don't even have to tell you what the question was, because you'll get a link to exactly the numbers they saw, whether they're on a similar exercise version or not. If you, so they can just tell you what they need to know. You know, hey, I got part A, but part B, I don't know. Whatever they can tell you, obviously, is good. So there is that. How to manage the course roster. That is to make a student inactive who has withdrawn or for whom you have given a grade of FN. All right. Over the course roster, we should go back to the home. And course roster. And it brings it up in a separate window. So it's a little bit funny, I think. Like, let's say I was going to make Tyler Breeden here inactive. You click on the active, click it to inactive, and actually exit. So even though it does the X keeps the change just long enough, so if I clicked save here, it would make Tyler Breeden inactive. Well, I don't want to make him inactive. This is a live course. But that's what you do. Typically it takes about 10 seconds. And then what happens, I'll show you in your grade book. You can tell it has happened because they're in the light gray over here. Like this one here says Madeline Gross. So when you download grades or any other thing, or when you're doing the search email by criteria, if they've been set to inactive, it won't look there. But their work is in fact still there if you need it for some reason, like they challenge something or whatever. All right. Also, if they're set to inactive, they can't log in anymore. It doesn't show up on their account. It's reversible, so that's nice too if you make a mistake. So there's the course roster.